Greetings, hello ladies and gentlemen, and today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new PNSO Brian the Pachyrhinosaurus. Now I want to send a big thank you out to my good friend Aydin, or KikiZilla101, for getting this for me for a Christmas gift this past year. And yeah, this is one that I've just really had my eye on. I thought it was a really interesting looking figure when it was first released, and then I saw the in-hand stuff and I was like, okay, yeah, this thing looks pretty cool, and I am just totally on board with PNSO just pumping out all of these amazing looking figures. So anyway, let's jump in and start taking a look at this one. First of all, the detail is just completely on point here. The scalation is amazing. You have all of these large, kind of warty, bumpy scales going across the body, very circular in shape, and then you have the smaller scales sort of scattered in between them. The toned musculature on the limbs is beautifully done as well. You have the correct number of toes on each of the feet, and I really like the chunky sort of squat nature of this entire Ceratopsian here. It really feels nice and healthy and plump overall, for lack of a better word, and it just gives off a very natural and intimidating appearance at the same time as well. Now, one thing that I love that's pretty consistent on PNSO's new figures is the paint application, and this Pachyrhinosaurus, out of the three that I have right now, is probably the best. The gradients between the different browns and tans on the body is really nice. You have a cream on the underside, you have some black on the feet as well, and then you have these really nice black stripes that just sort of fade into the color scheme very naturally going down the spine of the animal. I think it's very nice. The tail on the back feels a little bit on the long side. I like it aesthetically, and I don't look for 100% accuracy with PNSO. They're just kind of borderline like, okay, that's acceptable, that's close enough, but there's a few little quirks in all of the figures, or most of the figures from them recently, where it's like, yeah, that could have been changed, or that could have been changed. And with this Pachyrhinosaurus particularly, I feel like the tail is a bit long and a little bit thin. It tapers off very quickly, but I like it aesthetically, so I'm not complaining about it. Now, one thing that is most interesting is if you turn the figure over and look on the underside of its feet, there is a bright yellow color that's sort of just splattered on the bottom of the feet. Now, I personally don't care about paint sloppiness if it's on a part of the figure that you'll never see, in this case the bottom of the feet, but it's just weird because I don't see any bright yellow on this figure, unless that's one of the base colors or something and they sort of made a gradient of browns and tans on top of that, which is possible. But there are a couple scales on this one where the yellow actually sort of splattered onto them, like there's one right above the right shoulder there, as you can see. That is a little bit unfortunate, but that's not something that I can't fix on my own with just a little bit of brown paint. Just dab it over that. So I'm okay with it because I can fix it, but it's just very odd, that bright yellow. And then there's also a bright green or blue. Hold on, let me get the light on that better. Yeah, that's just a bright green on the front left foot on the bottom, which is kind of odd. But anyway, let's move into my absolute favorite part of this entire figure, which is the head sculpt. Now, based off of the head ornamentation, this is without doubt meant to be Pachyrhinosaurus lacustae because of the horns between the eyes and sort of back on the forehead there. And I think the horns look great overall, and one thing I want to send out a good word of warning for anybody who gets this for their kids or whatever. The horns are really sharp. Be careful, and this is very consistent with their new stegosaurs and ceratopsians in general from what I've heard. The horns and spikes are just really sharp, and from a collector's perspective, an older collector here, I really like it. It looks natural. It's very cool just to feel how sharp they are, but just keep that in mind. This may not be the best toy for a younger kid because those are very sharp, and I could see myself cutting my finger if I push hard enough, especially on that middle horn between the eyes and the forehead there. I really like the gradient on the paint on the horns. You have the black sort of fading into the gray, and then my absolute favorite part of the color scheme. This is one of the few figures that I actually like the in-hand paint rather than the promo images, And the bright, like scarlet red on the face is so cool. And I love that it covers the entire area where there's sort of a keratinous covering across the entire face. We don't have any direct evidence that ceratopsians like Pachyrhinosaurus had a full facial covering of keratin like this, but because it is inferred that their horns were covered with a sheath of keratin, I think it's a really cool creative idea to throw on this figure, and I really like how it looks overall. And that red color with the blue eye, love it, love it, love it. Really makes the head stand out. Just a hint of vibrancy amongst all of those natural brown tones is just so beautiful on this figure. The beak is really sharp as well and looks really nice overall, and just the detailing on the face is so astounding. I absolutely love it. Now, I think the last thing that I really didn't mention on this one is the posture. The posture here is so photogenic and just pleasing to look at overall, and it's simple enough, but I just love the subtle sway to the entire figure here. Anyway, I think that really covers my thoughts on this one as a whole, and yeah, all I can say is out of the 3 PNSO figures that I have, this one might very well be my favorite. It's just so consistent with detail and paint quality, and it looks so natural, but so different and striking at the same time with that keratinous covering all over the face. So yeah, this is one that I definitely recommend picking up at some point in the future if you're a fan of ceratopsians and you're looking for a good Pachyrhinosaurus figure. I genuinely think this is the best Pachyrhinosaurus figure that's out on the market, a non-articulated Pachyrhinosaurus figure. But anyway, in case you're wondering how large this one is, from the tip of the tail to the tip of the snout, we are looking at right about 6 inches, which is right around 16 centimeters, and in terms of the height at the highest point, which is the top of the head, we are looking at about 2.5 inches, which is right around 6 centimeters. And for comparison, here's PNSO's Lambeosaurus, or more specifically Audrey the Lambeosaurus, which we reviewed pretty recently on the channel. And yeah, I love how many herbivores that PNSO is pumping out, because I feel like that's something that a lot of companies actually neglect, is really good quality herbivore figures, because the carnivores obviously are the ones that sell to a younger audience, and I'm guilty of that as well with all the Spinosaur figures that I have. But it's just so nice to see PNSO actually giving so much attention to herbivores, and these two figures look very nice next to each other, but Brian the Pachyrhinosaurus I think is just more consistent overall with paint quality and detail quality, but I still really like Audrey the Lambeosaurus just for being so striking. But anyway guys, I think that's going to do it for this video. Once again, a big thank you to my good friend Aydin for getting this figure for me for a gift. Highly recommend this Pachyrhinosaurus if you can pick it up at some point. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like down below, and if you're new, subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you all in my next video. So take care, and bye-bye.